A school lockdown is happening. The Intruder Isn't Human series. It was a normal and boring day of school, as always. I was in the biology class picking some stuff for the teacher when the principal spoke. All teachers must lock their classroom doors. Stay quiet and turn off your lights. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Now, when I heard him, I really thought it was a school lockdown drill, since we did a lot of those in the previous years. But something in his voice told me it really wasn't a drill. So, as I was away from my classroom, I left the teacher's things there and left the classroom quietly. I started heading to my class, and when I got there, I quietly knocked on the door. "Hey, Mrs. Rose, it's me, Toby. Can I please come in? I don't want to meet the intruder." "I'm sorry, Toby, but I can't let you in." The principal called, and he said to not let anyone in or out. Mrs. Rose was a lady in her mid-40s, married with one kid. She was the sweet type that would give out candy to her students at the end of the year, but she also held her positions very well, and I knew she would not give in. I left, thinking about where to go, and the school's generator room popped in my head. Since my school was kind of big, it was fairly far away. I started heading that way when I heard someone behind me. It was a police unit. I didn't even know they were called. Lucky me, I guess, huh? Nope. "Hey, kid, you know there is someone bad out here, right?" "Yes, officer. But I was at the bathroom when it happened." I wasn't going to give him a full-on explanation of how I got in this situation. "Well, did you..." He didn't even finish his phrase when some humanoid creature appeared behind him and slashed his head off. I was paralyzed. It must have been at least 6'7". It was naked, no hair anywhere on its body, and it had big, round, black eyes. When its eyes locked on me, it let out a loud scream, and it charged at me. I barely dodged it. This thing is extremely fast, I thought. I started running the other way, which was, luckily, the way to the generator room. That thing, I don't even know what to call it, started running after me. It almost got me when I suddenly turned a corner which caught it off guard and had to turn around and come after me again. I was already halfway down the hall. I will not make it to the generator room in time, I thought to myself. I turned another corner, the thing about 10 meters back, catching up quick. I entered a bathroom and quickly ran in the farthest stall. I heard a voice. "Who is that?" I recognized that voice as my classmate Duncan. I always hated this guy. Bully type, dumb as hell, all the stereotypes of a high school bad boy. "It's Toby." "Now shut up. There is some creature out there," I said quietly. "What creature are you talking about?" Right as he spoke, I heard the bathroom door open and the thing started searching for me. It heard Duncan's voice and it probably thought it was me, hiding from it. It started opening the stalls one by one, and luckily I was in the last one, just after Duncan. When it got to Duncan, I heard him yell, a "what the fuck," and then let out a horrified scream. It killed Duncan. Even though I hated Duncan, I still felt bad for him, dying to this creature. After it killed Duncan, it left and searched for more kills. After I stopped hearing its steps, I left the stall too and looked out the bathroom to see which way it went. I saw it turn a corner towards the principal's office, which was the way I need to go to get to the generator room. It's better going in an empty classroom, I thought to myself. I didn't see it check any classrooms anyway, so why would it? I searched for an empty classroom and it was the chemistry laboratory. I locked the door after me. The light were already off. I headed to the closet. Everyone hides in closets, right? Yes, everyone does. Because when I opened the door to the closet, some girl almost hit me with a mop, but she stopped just in time. She was a classmate from elementary school. "What is going on out there? Who is making the screams I heard?" she asked, very confused. "There is some kind of creature out there. It killed Duncan and a police officer," I said to her. She had a puzzled look on her face. "What creature?" "And Duncan is dead," she said, panic evident in her voice. "I don't know what it is, but it almost killed me too. So let's hide until we can safely leave," I said. I looked through the keyhole and saw that thing pass. I stumbled back and it stopped dead in its track. It headed my way as it heard me fall. I took Emma's hand and quickly entered the closet with her just as that thing broke the door down. Emma let out a fearful breath, but I covered her mouth and signed her to shut up. The thing stopped and looked around, and when it wandered its eyes towards the closet, I thought we were dead, but it kept walking. It looked around for a good 5 minutes, then it left. "What the fuck is that?" Emma asked. "I don't really know. I was in the biology lab when I heard the principal. I started going towards my classroom, and since that stubborn Mrs. Rose did not let me in, I wanted to go to the generator room. On my way there, I saw a police officer, and he spoke to me. I told him I was in the bathroom, and then that creature killed him. I ran from it, and somehow I got a lead and hid in a bathroom. Duncan was there, and this thing came in and killed him. After that, I came here and found you. This all that happened to me until now." Wow, I can't believe Duncan is dead. Didn't really like him, but I still felt bad, I guess. She said, still taking in all I had to say. "Yeah, me neither. He was such an asshole to everybody." "Okay, so do we wait it out and see what happens?" Emma said, not much hope in her voice. "Well, I guess that's what we do." I live in the Philippines, and it was 12:30. We were normally falling back in line after lunch, still talking about all the scares of graduation being canceled. The new coronavirus was spreading all around the world, and it was threatening the week of graduation. Apparently, the disease was spreading much quicker than anticipated, and it was barely delayed by the government. But the disease got the better of the situation and spread everywhere. I just shrugged off all these scares and threats, knowing that it sure as hell is not gonna reach us. Or so that's what I thought. The loud principal got over the intercom, sounding panicked, and said, "All students, please proceed to your respective classrooms immediately. Please prepare your emergency kits and safety masks. Reported cases of a new deadly virus has been apparently spreading under the scares of the coronavirus. I repeat, proceed to your respective classrooms. Prepare your emergency kits immediately. Lock all doors in the classroom. Make sure every window and crack is sealed and all is wearing safety masks. The school is now declared on lockdown." Panic got the better of us students, all hurriedly running to our rooms. Some were left behind. People in hazmat suits kept roaming around the school, and suddenly the atmosphere of the situation got dark. I was in Section 1B. We followed all the instructions properly, and our homeroom advisor guided us into what to do during the situation. We covered the windows with paper and tape and sealed the door cracks with towels and cloths, and we waited. We waited until the next intercom announcement almost an hour later. The principal, now in a much calmer but slightly odd tone, spoke in a different voice and said we now advise all the homeroom advisors, please take off your masks and head outside and leave one student of the class as in charge. We encourage our advisors and coordinators to participate in the cleaning of the school grounds. You will be provided with all the necessary equipment needed. For all the students, please remain in your classrooms and stay calm. We will get back to you immediately. Something about what the principal said was off. It sounded like he was different, inhuman, or more likely, insane. Our homeroom advisor followed as instructed and went outside, but left one of his associated co-worker to take care of us while they handled the situation. The police had apparently been already called and was on the way. We received no more calls from the intercom for the next 2 hours and decided to turn off the lights to avoid attracting attention from the teacher's operation or something. And then we heard it. We heard something sharp, constantly hitting the tiles of the hallway right outside our room. Tick, tick, tick. It constantly got louder and louder, and soon we were able to make out the silhouette of what it was through the paper on the windows. One of my classmates blurted out Mr. McWright, which turned out to be a horrible idea. The silhouette slowly turned its head a complete 90 degrees in a perfect motion. Its body followed right after, and then it clicked, lifted its arm, and ripped some sort of mask on, and revealing the shadow of what looks like a tentacle. It dashed at our window and slammed its arm against the window, but without enough force to break it. It kept gnawing and grabbing at the door until it broke. Until it broke was the only thing I could say and say as a whisper. All of us panicked, running at every hiding spot we knew of the room. I managed to get in one of my classmates' lockers and had a perfect view through the locker door's openings. I peeked out and got relieved to find that everyone has found a spot in the room. I couldn't make out a view of the area near the window, but I was sure it was coming. I've successfully hid in this locker for an hour now. That thing has been just roaming around the room, breaking our seats and scratching at metal surfaces. I don't know how I can survive like this, with the fact that Larry apparently got out of his spot and thought it was gone. It wasn't, but Larry's still alive. He hid in the locker right next to mine and loudly took a deep breath. We assumed the thing heard it. I can hear the shuffling sounds of ticking nearing my locker door. I kept peeking through my opening, trying to get a sense of where it was. On my 14th peek, I saw it, and will never think that I would be able to pass it off. It had Mr. McWright's body, but its head was an amalgamation of tentacles, 4 sunken eyes, and a circular-shaped mouth with sharp teeth. This isn't true, I thought to myself. It's just a hallucination. This isn't real. And then it spoke. The words that I didn't want to hear and will never want to hear again. "Hello, young man, open the door already." I don't know what popped in my mind, but I went blank. I couldn't feel anything. My body started moving on its own, my arms shuffling like crazy, and it hit me. This is what happened to Mr. McWright. My hand jolted out from my side and hastily opened the door. I didn't tell it to do that, but it did. And I said, "Is it my turn?" Without knowing that I moved an inch. I, 17-year-old female, go to a high school near a forest, which the school forbids us to visit. My other friends and I have always wanted to see what secrets are behind those big tall trees. We have planned to sneak into the forest just before school on Thursday. It is currently Wednesday, so tomorrow will be a game changer. School was just about to end when our classroom doors locked. They were sealed shut. I stood up to see everyone in shock, and the teacher was trying to calm down the crying girl. A few minutes later, while trying to calm everyone down, we heard screams of agony. I rushed to look out the window, but before I could see anything, my teacher stepped in front of me and told me it's better if I don't see anything. I sat down, curious to what had caused that girl so much pain that she had to scream. The classroom became deadly silent. Still lost in my thoughts about the screaming girl, my eyes became heavy, and I closed them for a while. I was awoken by another scream, followed by more, and then a loud bang. I then pushed my way through the crowd of students to the window, and what I saw next horrified not just me, but everyone who stood and looked out the window. We were all petrified of what could happen to us, if we could be their next victim. I saw this thing. I have no idea what it's called. It has long black hair. It's covered in blood. There's blood dripping from its mouth, and it's wearing a white dress that comes to its knees and had holes in it. You can see that it has been severely injured. As it sees its next victim running down the hallway, it screeches and runs on all fours, head faced backwards. It runs after the girl from class 8. I knew that girl. She was in my gym class. I sadly had to watch her slowly get devoured by the creature. I tugged on my friend's shirt and told her to see what is happening. All she said in return was, "It can sense us." We next. I felt shivers throughout my body. I felt my legs get numb. I heard a loud knock 3 times before it was dead silence. Everyone was petrified for what could happen. The girl who was crying suddenly stopped and turned to face the door. "I do not have a good feeling about this," she said too. Her boyfriend, whose fear was visible on his face. The one window that was open suddenly closed. It was strange because no one was anywhere near that window. I could feel that something was off. I just had no idea what. I reached down for a chair, ready to throw it at anything that came into the classroom. After seconds of having all that fear and anxiousness build up inside us, it had finally entered. As it walked, the air was heavy and the room started to smell like a rotting corpse. It turned to look at the girl and her boyfriend, its face pale white. I didn't dare to look at it. Its eyes, but they did. It screeched, it ran at them. The way it ran made me want to puke. It looked very disturbing. I watched in horror as the creature was slowly devouring them. I took my friend's hand and ran out of the classroom, and we both looked at each other when we reached the hallway, our eyes wide open to what we were witnessing. Dead bodies laying all over the hallways. How could one creature eat so much unless there was more? My friend, still standing there in shock, let out a scream which she should not have done. The creature bolted across the room, leaving the couple behind, and took my friend in its hand and munched on her. I slowly but softly went back into the classroom, trying my best not to let out loud sobs as I watched the monster eat her, piece by piece. She screamed loudly and cried out for help, but there was absolutely nothing I could do. With tears streaming down my face, I gradually closed the door. I walked to the corner of the room and sobbed softly. The teacher called us all and told us something that was upsetting and very shocking. This information I'm about to disclose has to be the most crucial part of what is happening. He told that this happens every 20 years. This creature lives in the forest, and that is why we were forbidden not to enter the forest. He also said it feeds on students of this school as revenge for building the school on its homeland. The creature was a human that has been bitten by some other entity. We cannot fully explain the origin of this creature. There are some secrets that you would be better off without. We have still yet to find out what and where this entity is. I asked on how to escape from here, but all the teacher had in response was, "There's no escape. Just be quiet and don't look it in the eye, and it won't attack you unless it's extremely hungry." I am currently writing this while sitting in the classroom, still hearing it munching on other students, not caring about their screams. I have no idea how to cope with all these noises. I'm starting to lose hope. I'm wondering if we will ever get out. Everyone in the class is dead except me and one other kid who looks like is about to burst out crying. I can't get out of here yet. I have to wait. I've been waiting for 3 days and 17 hours. I have no hope left. I still have no explanation to anything, but being here for 3 days is taking a toll on my health. I just want to leave.